Shalom and welcome everybody. It's time to talk some Torah. I'm Rabbi Charles Klein and I'm with
Rabbi Ravid.
And we have the pleasure of talking Torah about the Parsha, the portion that we call Vayishlach, which is the portion that we'll read in the synagogue this Shabbat. And it is really a very compelling Parsha. There's so much there that is at times almost riveting, as a matter of fact. You know, as we look at it, of course, it starts off with that nocturnal wrestling match. But let's focus our attention on that moment of meeting between Jacob and Esau. Now, they had been apart from each other for many, many years now. If everyone remembers, when they parted, they did not part under the best of terms. Jacob is speaking to Esau, and he says something very, very fascinating. He says, Kach na et birchati, take my present. Now he means the present because he's ready to load Esau down with all kinds of presents. But the word is not present, it's birchati, take my blessing, okay, that I have brought you. You know, and we always believe that there are echoes, right? There are echoes in the biblical text. Well, what echo does that have for you when you hear Kachna at birchati? Where do you go back to?
Take my blessing?
Yeah.
Well, I think about Jacob and Esau, not, just two parshiyot ago.
That's right.
Where Esau is just so willing to give away his birthright.
And Jacob wants it so much, right?
Right.
Jacob wants it and Esau's willing to give it away. And so now Jacob says, take it. As if to say what?
As if to say, I don't want it anymore.
That this blessing, this bircha, it's really nice. And I'm glad I had it, maybe. But maybe this blessing has not really played out in my life the way I thought it would. Maybe I want to unburden myself of it a little bit. Coming under the category of be careful of what you wish for.
Right.
Because when you get it, sometimes it's not everything that you expect or would hope it would be. Jacob's life over the interim has been difficult. He's had to leave home, winds up with the wrong wife. Most importantly, has to deal with a deceiving, father-in-law, has to run out of there. So this is, he's become wealthy and he's got wonderful children and all that stuff, but it hasn't been an easy road for him.
This echoes back to when Esau spurns the birthright and says, I don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
And so this might actually be Jacob kind of prodding him a little bit, saying, hey, how about now? I'm giving you everything. I'll even give you the blessing. Do you want to take that? And we know that Esau seems to not have any interest in the blessing or the birthright. And so when Jacob says that, it might actually be his way of saying, you have a chance to redeem yourself and actually take this blessing. But we know that doesn't end up happening.
Yeah, and that's an interesting observation. He said, in a sense, if I'm understanding you correctly, 20 years ago, it didn't mean anything to you. You were willing to trade it for a bowl of lentils.
Right.
Does it mean anything to you now? I mean, is it something you would want now? Because maybe you have a deeper appreciation for what this is all about. I'm willing to give it to you.
Now that you're an adult, now that you can think like this. And the fact that he doesn't take it, then it says, oh, well, there you go. He had his chance.
Right.
He had his chance. Now it's on the level. Now it's not that I tricked him anymore. I didn't sneak it away from him. I tried to give it back to him. But look, you didn't take it. Now it's really mine.
Exactly.
It's really mine.
Exactly. And maybe that's why you have birchati in the text here. That this becomes Jacob's opportunity to say to him, I'll give you an opportunity now to rethink that decision you made in your hunger and in your youth. Now, you can either disavow it and take back the blessing, or you can continue to scorn it or diminish its value. And Esau clearly doesn't even respond to that. Doesn't even say, let me think about it. He says, let's go on a journey and we'll travel together.
That's what this story is really about. Is getting closure on this loop that made us look at Jacob and say, what kind of a person does that to his brother, and what kind of a person tricks
Right.
his father
Right.
into it. Now that loop is closed off. We say, look, Jacob that did his best. They're never going to be best friends. You know, they're not brothers in the strong sense of the meaning, but they are. That story ends. That narrative is over, and now we can really. And next week we'll begin to look at the story of Jacob's sons, and all of their troubles and tribulations.
Right, right. So look, we'll look forward to being able to continue our discussion on the Parsha next week. Please remember to share Talking Torah with your family and friends, because we'd love to bring our message of Torah to as many people as possible. So until next week, I'm Rabbi Charles Klein. Shalom.
And from Rabbi Ravid Tillis, Lehitraot.